Hi, this is Chico Resch. You are listening to the Let's Go Devils podcast on the Primetime Radio Network.
Happy Devils Sunday! Welcome to Game Day Live, presented by the Let's Go Devils podcast. My name is Vinnie, Parise, and I welcome each and every one of you watching on YouTube Live, Facebook Live, Twitter Live, and Twitch. We have a very special episode of Game Day Live coming at you today as the New Jersey Devils get set to take on the Arizona Coyotes. And before we get into the meat and potatoes of the game today, I'm going to introduce everybody to Shorts Guy, who is in for Sam Wu for another episode, and we are very happy to have you here today. I hear you have some experience with Mullett Arena there, Shorts Guy. Why don't we get into that right away?
Yeah, absolutely. I do. Vinny, good to see you again. I feel like I'm becoming a regular co-host on this on Game Day Live, which is awesome.
Woo!
Yeah, so back in January, I think it was. Yeah, something like late January. I made it out there to Mullett Arena for Arizona versus the Vegas Golden Knights. I got to experience the Mullett. We did a short podcast with Hockey on Tap outside, which was awesome. It was a good test for us in the Primetime Radio Network, and we'll be doing more stuff like that. But I don't know about you, but when they first announced that the Coyotes were going to be at Mullett Arena in the beginning of the season, something inside me was like, you know what? That sounds like a destination I need to hit. And sure enough, the opportunity came with Schwim getting married. Schwim on Hockey on Tap was getting married, and the bachelor party was going to be in Arizona, taking a game. So the arena itself is small. It's tight. It's got a lot of great amenities. Believe it or not, it's got some solid beer choices, some solid food choices. Really, really great staff, phenomenal. And we had, as far as seating was concerned, we did standing room, and we were right next to the drum line, which was trouble for me because I got right involved with them. And basically my experience is when I was out there wearing my Devils hat, I figured, you know what? I'm just going to go nuts for the Arizona Coyotes and just what the hell? I'm in Arizona. Let's do it. And I had a lot of Vegas Golden Knight fans not happy with me. I had some Vegas Golden Knight fans yelling at me because I was starting to say some stuff about Vegas. My best ad lib line of the night was Vegas is a waste of water. The local Vegas people did not like that, which there were a lot of Vegas fans there. But overall, I think for atmosphere, I know not everyone wants to see an NHL team playing in an arena that seats less than 5,000, but that's one of those things where you get to see an NHL game in an arena that seats less than 5,000. So every seat is great. You're right there next to the action. We went down low for warm-ups, which is basically one flight of stairs. It was just a cool, close quarter place to see an NHL game take place. And what I liked about it is when you yelled at the players, everything is so close, you know that they heard you. So it was a really good time overall. So I would highly recommend as a destination game for anyone out there, go check out Mullett Arena before they move.
That sounds amazing. And yeah, you said something at the beginning of your story there that kind of resonated with me. You said right when they announced it, you're like, oh, that's a place I want to go. Well, yeah. I believe they have next season and then the year after playing at Mullett Arena. And, I couldn't agree more. That's one place I really, really want to get to. I honestly think that before it ends, that's something I could see myself doing in like a one-night trip. Like I want to see it so bad. I want to know what it's like to catch an NHL game in a college rink. And you're never going to get that opportunity ever again. It's more unique than a stadium series. It's more unique than a winter classic, anything you could throw. And, so as somebody who has been to the Prudential Center, I don't know what other rinks you visited, but like I've been to the United Center, the Joe Louis Arena, Little Caesars Arena now is where the Red Wings play. I've been there. Madison Square Garden, obviously, these huge rinks. What is the difference when you go there and watch it in a small rink like that, outside of the fact that it is literally smaller? Is there a vibe check difference? Like, yes. What's going on there?
Yeah, it's a different vibe because you're just the close quarters of the arena itself just makes you feel like you're right on top of the action. And because you're in a building with a much lower ceiling, all the sound kind of just reverberates around the place. And it was loud. It was a good time. it was electric because everyone was just so close to each other. It's not like, if you go to like a Wednesday night game at the Rock, you could have people scattered around, some empty spots, maybe a little bit hollow sounding because it's so empty, relative to the size of the building, I should say. But there, even though there were some empty seats, it's still everything is so closed in that it can't help be nuts. Plus, where we were standing above in our standing room section, it was all bench seats. So it was like the student section for the normal, ASU games. So you kind of have that vibe too. It's kind of like you just have bench seats there that people were sitting on. And what was really funny is all these Vegas fans are yelling at me as I'm going nuts for Arizona. Meanwhile, I'm wearing my, green and red Devils hat, and no one is noticing that I'm not wearing anything Arizona. They're just yelling at me, which was great. And like all the Hockey on Tap guys are just laughing at everyone yelling at me because no one realizes I was really a Devils fan, just going nuts for Arizona because I was, like when in Rome, basically.
Yeah, you got to root for the home team. If it's not like no one's telling you to go to MSG and root for the Rangers or to Wells Fargo and root for the Flyers, but if it's like a neutral team to the Devils, you just got to go with the home team. So I understand where you're at on that, but the Arizona Coyotes, they are 28th in the NHL. They are 21, 32, and 9 for 51 standings points. They are right there in the Connor Bedard sweepstakes, probably one of 5 teams I think that has the best chance to land them once it's all said and done. The Devils are going to take on that team tonight, and it's a game you'd expect the Devils to come out and play well in. Obviously, when you beat those, you like to beat those bottom feeder teams and collect as many points as you can during the regular season. But this, even though they're playing this stinky team that they beat earlier in November, it's the first game we're going to see Timo Meier skating with the Devils. And after all that time of hoping and praying that Tom Fitzgerald would be able to get a deal done that doesn't totally tear apart the team. Don't trade Dawson Mercer. Don't move this guy. Well, they get Timo Meier at a pretty fair, I think, price, where the Sharks don't necessarily get nothing, but the Devils don't give up one of their, main roster pieces or future roster pieces. And we're going to see him skate tonight with Jack Hughes and Jesper Bratt. You got to be plenty excited.
Yeah, no, I definitely am. But I also go into this game with a little bit of nerves because when I was out there in Arizona was playing Vegas and they beat Vegas. And Vegas is one of the top I think the top team in the West, if not one of the top 2 teams in the West. So knowing that arena and the close quarters of that arena could be an advantage to Arizona. On top of that, the uncomfortableness of the visiting locker rooms, if they're the same that they showed earlier in the season, these guys are professionals used to one level of travel and being at a visiting arena, and then Mullett is just different. So that uncomfortableness could play into the hands of Arizona. But that being said, with Arizona being a bottom of the barrel team, we should do well. Plus, Arizona has traded off some good pieces, almost in a kind of like we say, lose for Hughes. I guess I know it's a Bedard sweepstakes, but there's got to be a catchier phrase than that.
I think it's bad for Bedard is what all the teams are saying.
Okay,
bad for
Bedard. But having Timo Meier in the lineup for the first time is exciting to see. This is a trade that's been so hyped for so long that I think all of us want to see it be successful right away. What we don't want to see is what's playing out in New York with Kane, who was just, I want to go to the Rangers, throwing his toys, blah, blah, blah. And he's been they're 0-2 since, and he's -4. That's not the start we want to see. We want to see a good, solid start for Timo Meier. We want to see that he's worth the pieces we gave up and that worth the potential of having him re-sign long-term in New Jersey. So going to go into it with a lot of high hopes. But again, let's not forget, it's his first game with a new team, with new players that he's not used to playing with. So if he does have some hiccups or some mistakes, got to give him a little bit of a leeway, knowing that he's got to learn some of these new guys. He's only skated with them a couple days. So we also have to be a little bit patient at the same time, as much as we want to see him make an instant impact like some of the other trades I've made. And he could very well do that. But coming into a new team, new situation, you got to learn the players and you got to learn what your new teammates like to do.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Now, the Blackhawks, they traded Patrick Kane to the Rangers, and they throw him in right away. The second he gets to New York, he plays in their first home game. and he didn't play in that game in Philly, but that was never going to happen. He got to New York and played in there.
It was a rumor, but he never did.
Yeah, and then the Devils, they kind of waited on Timo Meier, and I know he had a little bit of a UBI there, but they let him get used to the systems in practice, and he skated 3 or 4 days with a full contact jersey, and they easily could have played him in the last game against Vegas, and they just chose not to, because why throw him in that fire against that team? You have a slower skating Arizona team. Timo Meier is going to get to know what it's like to skate in a game with the guys he's put with and play on that power play. You're not messing with anything the way the Rangers did, because Zibanejad, who is one of the 5 best shooters from the circle in the NHL, gets moved to the bumper position so Kane and Panarin can work the half wall. All that Meier coming to the Devils is doing is he's going to replace somebody in his natural position of the net front on the power play, and at 5-on-5 he'll be with Jack, and then you push Palat down a unit, and then I forget who, I think it's Wood, someone's coming off the second unit, and that just slots everybody down a spot rather than entirely maneuvering what you got going on, what makes you successful. And Zibanejad's second in the league in power play goals. They're taking that huge portion of their team away from them. The Devils really aren't doing that with Timo Meier. And the way Dawson Mercer has stepped up in the last 10 or so games, that has driven the Hischier line, where they're okay, we thought we were going to play Meier with Hischier, but this line's been so good, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Sharangovich is probably upgraded into Timo Meier, so now we got that going for them. I just think the way the Devils are doing it is a tad bit different, and for the better.
Yeah, well, and it seems like what the difference is Timo Meier is filling a need the Devils had. And I really trust Fitzgerald in trying to find not just the guy or a guy, for whatever star power, whatever you want to use it, but he's looking for the right guy to fit a need. And I think that shows by him saying that he had a lot of conversations with Nico about Timo. So that shows that he's going to his captain to say, hey, what's your countryman like? What is will he fit into the room, this and that? Because if anyone's going to know, it's going to be Nico. Whereas the Rangers, which they have done in the past, and it seems like they're still doing, is the Rangers are just looking to collect everything that they think is going to be good, and then just shoving it together. And it maybe not shoving it together in the best way that it's going to work, but just shoving it together for the sake of shoving it together, probably just to sell some jerseys. So the Devils have a smarter view of it, whereas the Rangers are just trying to basically put things together for star power, whereas the Devils are looking for the right system pieces.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. And I do think Timo Meier in the year, listen, no disrespect to Patrick Kane, okay? He's a legend.
No, not at all.
He's going to have a statue. They're going to retire his number. He'll be in the Hall of Fame first ballot. Timo Meier can only wish to have a career like Patrick Kane. In 2023, though, we all know who you would rather have. And I'm looking at these lines right now that just came out. Sam Kassan just posted them on Twitter, and they're the ones we've been seeing from practice since yesterday. Tatar Hischier with Mercer. Hughes is flanked by Bratt and Meier, Holla with Palat and Boquist, and I really like that Palat, Holla, Boquist line. And then the BMW line, Bastian, McLeod, and Wood. The defensive pairs are the same, Siegenthaler with Hamilton, Graves playing with Marino, and then you got Kevin Ball with Damon Severson as the third pair. Vanacek's in net after Schmid had a pretty good game last game, but, Sharangovich, he's out of the lineup. And he did not play well against Vegas. So it's not really all that surprising that, when Meier draws in, Sharangovich is the one that comes out. I wouldn't be at all surprised if that kind of 13th forward gets rotated in and out. I'm sure Boquist will sit a little bit. It wouldn't surprise me if Bastian takes a game or two off here and there, Sharangovich back in. But as of right now, against this Coyotes team tonight, this is the lineup I think that deserves to go out there. This is their 12 best forwards, their 6 best defensemen, and then the goalies, you can argue all sorts of different ways how they should do that. But what's your take on that?
So as far as the lines are concerned, looking at that 12-13 slot, that's a good problem to have players that are going to be competing to be number 12. Whereas for the last couple of years, we were trying to cobble together lines 3 and 4 because all we had were 1 and 2. So I would rather have some competition for spot number 12 versus having to cobble some things together with, well, who the hell knows who we have. So that's actually a positive, because what you can get is you can get those lower tier guys like the Sharon Goviches, the Boquists, the Bastions, having to really work and to prove that they need to be that 12th guy, that they should be that 12th guy, which is a good problem to have for the coaching staff. But as far as the goaltending is concerned, I think Vitek Vanacek needs to really step up and prove that he's going to be the starter going into the playoffs. I understand it's only beginning of March right now, but we got to start looking at who's going to be that. We're going to have to pick a starter for the playoffs. Schmid is doing very well, and I would prefer to have him as our backup versus Blackwood officially. But Vanacek's supposed to be the guy. He's the guy that's being paid to be here the most out of all of them. He kind of has to step it up, because his last couple outings were not great. His outing against Colorado was not very good at all, and he needs to really kind of get into that groove of being that starting goaltender for the Devils. And I hope he does it, because when Vitek is on, Vitek is on. But I do like that Vitek Schmid combo. I feel like that those two as a pair push each other to be better than Vitek Blackwood.
Yeah, I totally agree. And Schmid clearly has a little bit of a boost in his game ever since the Meyer trade, or at least the Meyer rumors really started to favor the Devils, because, hey, I want to be one of the Swiss players on this team. We're going to build the Swiss national team on the Devils. I want to be a part of it, with Nico and Siegenthaler, and now you got Meyer. And I think that's done wonders for him. Before I get back to the forwards, I want to make a point. I want everyone in the YouTube chat and Facebook chat and all that, start dropping in your predictions, because Shorts Guy and I are going to get to those in a couple minutes. And if you throw yours in the YouTube live, I will read yours on air if I see it. Curtis Lazar is coming too, and we talked about him at length last game, and that's going to push the forwards a little bit more too. And since getting health bombed, Nathan Bastian has been unreal. So, he had goals in back-to-back games. He was noticeable against Vegas, in my opinion. He didn't score, but he was noticeable. And so your fourth line is kind of solidified. So that 13th forward, that 12th, 13th forward is actually probably more for the third line than it is the fourth line. And I personally think that's a positive, because the fourth line a lot of the times can make just as big, if not a bigger difference than the quote-unquote third line.
Yeah, and I'm kind of looking at the Devils forward lines as, even though, I know lines, number 1 and 2, the top lines, we've got Jack, we've got, we've got Mercer, we've, everyone that's there, Nico, Bratt, but I really feel like the Devils are so I really feel like that it's just a title saying that they're first line, second line, because I feel like we can throw any line out there and be good with any team in the league right now.
Absolutely. So we got people in the chat saying we have a stream freeze, and I believe we are back. But I did notice that. So
actually, that was my fault. I actually hit a button by accident, and I dropped the stream. That was actually my fault.
That's okay, but we're back. I have the YouTube up. We're back. Yep. But Sam, that's some funny stuff. So I think it's time.
Blame it on Sam.
Guy. Yeah, I want Sam to actually text us his prediction so we can get that in there.
There we go.
Bachagaloop says 10-0.
That's what I was actually trying to do, is text the prediction, and I dropped the phone on the keyboard.
That's awesome.
You would do that.
That's incredible. I mean, if you want to say it on air or just text it, I have no problem. But Alan says 4-1 Devils. Steve Engel says 6-3 Devils. Selecta says 5-1 Devils. Ted points out that he wants the winning streak back, 5-2 Devils. Max says 7-1 Devils, 4-1 Devils from Felix. Angelo, 9-1 Devils. Cornhole, 8-2 Devils. So we got a lot of Devils by multiple goals here against the Coyotes. A little bit different of an attitude than it was against the Vegas Golden Knights a couple days ago. And listen, Vegas is very good. There's no doubt about it. Sam says 2-0 Devils was the final prediction from Sam Wu. So, Shorts Guy, without further ado, what do you think is going to take place in today's game? I know you hate predictions, but we're going to make you love them.
Yeah. So as I'm hearing everyone give out those big, those big score lines, I'm going to go comparative to the rest. I'm going to go a little bit conservative. I'm going to go 3-0 Devils, only because the the friendly confines of Mullett Arena might be a little bit more of an advantage to Arizona. Not that we were going to lose to Arizona, but kind of like how Boston Garden used to be an advantage to the Bruins back in the day. But I think the Devils will ultimately prevail, and will prevail by the scoreline of 3-0.
So you think if Arizona had like a really good roster, that arena would give them like a distinct advantage? Like they would be a really good team at home? Okay.
Absolutely.
That's interesting.
Absolutely.
I like to hear that personally, because I'm the type of guy I'm a Devils fan first. That's the number one most important thing to me, is the New Jersey Devils being better than everybody else. But I like seeing it grow in other markets. I like seeing little kids from Arizona learn the game. I love that the Hughes family, all three Hugheses, claim Florida as their home state. Austin Matthews is from Glendale, Arizona, right? It's not just McDavid coming from Toronto or McKinnon coming from where's Sidney Crosby from? Somewhere in Nova Scotia. I'm drawing a blank on Crosby's
yeah,
hometown.
I know what you're talking about, but I can't remember. Yep.
Yeah, I just love it. I love it. So good on the Coyotes. I hope we keep them in Arizona. Let's get that building built. But I hope they stink today.
Yeah, so do I.
I didn't even give my prediction through all that, though. I'm going to say you and Sam both predicted shutouts. I would love to see Vitek Vanacek have a little bit of a bounce-back game, even though he's 2-1-0 in those 3 games that he struggled the last couple. I'm going to say the Devils are going to win 4-1.
Okay, 4-1.
Meyer gets a point. I actually think Jack Hughes probably scores, and Meyer has something to do with it. That's kind of where I was leaning in his first game with the Devils, was Jack Hughes. If Jack Hughes knows what's good for him, he's got the best vision on the team. You saw the pass he made to Brad on the power play against Vegas, but like, he can shoot the dang thing just as well. So hopefully that sticks to happening as well.
Yeah, and let's not forget Timo Meyer is the only, I guess Lazar would be as well. Can't think if anyone's come from the West Coast, but they're the 2 players with experience playing in the Mullett. And none of the other Devils have that experience, so that could also play into them doing well tonight, playing at the Mullett. But yeah, it's gonna be a good time, and I'm actually excited to actually watch the game on television after having experienced it. And just I'll admit that third period got a little fuzzy for me. Apparently, I was playing drums at one point with the drum line, but no recollection of doing that. And I only got yelled at once when I was there to stop doing something, which is really good. That's actually really good for me. But yeah,
it is a college rink after all.
It is. So they're used to it. And there was a guy running around in a beekeeper getup, written with the boys are buzzing written on the back, and he was loving me. He was loving me going nuts for Arizona. So it was overall a good time.
That's honestly really funny. The boys are buzzing, and he's got a beekeeper thing on. That's insane. I love college. Anybody who says differently, like, you need to go check out Mullett Arena. I plan on getting there.
There was I'll for when you go out, I'll get the name of the bar. They had a bar that was on campus there that was within walking distance, and they had $6 32-ounce pitchers for happy hour before the game.
Oh wow. That's wonderful. Yeah. They're lucky they don't got people jumping on the ice if they're doing stuff like that at this college.
Probably close. I was probably close.
Yeah, it sounds like it. You would have brought your drum set out there though, and like played the drums a little bit while you were on the ice.
We'll have to see when the Devils play Arizona next season out there, and maybe we'll take Game Day Live on the road.
I would love to hear that. So that's our show. I hope everybody enjoyed Game Day Live today. We got off the rails talking Arizona and what they mean for the Devils and a little bit of Timo Meyer. I hope everybody enjoyed. It's a huge game. Enjoy what you're watching tonight. It's a big moment for the New Jersey Devils as they build towards what they hope is a championship core, adding Timo Meyer to this mix. And I'm so excited to see him play, and hopefully everybody feeds off each other and plays well. Happy Devil Sunday to each of you, and we will see you at the post game when you will be with Scotty and Devils After Dark. Make sure you tune in. As always, to quote the great Sam Wu, let's go Devils.
Woo!